Wedding Wednesday! We are now live, and tonight we are gonna just chit chat, Q&A, and you guys can find out a little more about the booster box tonight because we're gonna have some of our girls on, and you can ask them questions, you can ask me questions, and we'll just see how that goes. So, just an update on what's been happening, because we have to do a weekly update now because things change weekly. So for myself personally, I did have an occasion that was missed. Very sad. My daughter was supposed to have her communion last week, and we could not do that because this COVID is going on, and also we have no control over when we can have this event. So because that's something that the church does. So it'll be postponed. I just don't know when it's going to be happening, and we were keeping you in the loop of what we were doing with her event, and we were showing you her dress, and we were showing you us going out to buy things and going out to do her cake appointment, and we had to stop that. So we will bring you guys back in the loop when we continue planning, and hopefully that's what you're all doing out there, continuing to plan. I did have a question today. Should I be booking my 2021 wedding? Should I be planning my 2021 wedding? According to me, yes, you should be. And especially now, next year, a lot of the weddings from this year will be moved to next year. So you probably will have a little bit more of a limit on who you can choose to work for your wedding. So if there's a special photographer that you want the owner. If there's a wedding planner that you want the owner, or one of the people who work at the event, at the company, you're better off trying to book them as soon as you can, because a lot of the weddings from this year are moving to next year and they're taking up dates, so they might get double booked. So I wouldn't say panic, but I would say if there's someone that you really, really want, look into them earlier than you probably would have, because they might be getting booked up, or they might be, again, having to move their weddings from this year over to next year. So I always say continue planning. I do have clients who are still booked for August who haven't moved their weddings yet. All of my July personally has been moved. I do know that there are July events that still haven't been moved for other planners and other people in the industry. Right now, from the news we've received, I personally believe for July, you might be able to have very small events, and we're not sure how that's going to go. And I just want to also remind you that when they do roll it out, you're allowed to have 100 people at your wedding or your event. Please keep in mind that probably also includes the people that work at the event. So if you plan on having 100 people at your wedding and they say you're allowed to have 100 people at your event, well, you're going to have 2 photographers, 2 videographers, a wedding planner, all the staff that has to serve you. Those people need to be counted in that, from what I understand. So correct me if I'm wrong, please. But that is where we're at. So just keep that in mind. As soon as they start to roll things out slowly with how many people you're allowed to have an event, keep those things in mind and ask all the questions you can. Call up your wedding planner, call your venue. Like I've always been saying, see what your penalties are if you're holding things back, if you need to move. I have heard much more good news lately that venues are opening up later dates next year. They've opened up more summer dates. They are still slowly moving clients, because again, we don't want to wipe out the whole year. And then, you also don't want to be the couple that had a September wedding, move their September wedding to next year, and now all of a sudden in September we can have 200 to 300 person wedding, and then you think to yourself, why did I move it? So just be patient, but also educate yourself, and speak to your vendors, because they will let you know what they're available for, and they will let you know what their penalties are. Always keep that in mind. Don't just move your date. Again, don't just move your date. Don't just call up your church and your hall and move your date, and then call up all your venues and see if they're available. Usually venues are good at giving you 2 or 3 dates, and then you can call up your vendors and see who's available for you. So I'm not sure if Stephanie's on. I didn't see her coming in to join the conversation, but if Stephanie is on, you want to join the conversation, please ask to join. If anyone wants to ever join the live conversation, you may ask to join. We can do live questions if you don't mind being seen by all the people watching. Okay, so I wonder if banquet hall facilities will only be able to have one wedding per weekend if we say the limit is 100. I wonder if it's 100 per facility. Yes, I'm not sure. I think it will depend on the facility as well. I think it will depend on, do they have to have, usually if there's a wait staff for your venue, your room, they're not going to be serving in the other room, but there are, chefs that have to do both, floaters that go into both, bar runners that go into both. So those people might be an issue. I'm not sure. It will depend on the venue. I'm pretty sure that they're going to have they might have different rules for the venue. Like it also might depend on the lobby. Like there's certain places that have a huge lobby that you share for weddings, and that might be an issue. If it's a place like I know, Venetian, they have separate lobbies for everyone. You go into your own separate entrance. You don't have to see anybody or run into anybody, then that might be okay. No one knows the answers. Thank you, Joe from Chateau Le Parc. Okay, I'm going to bring Stephanie in just so you can see a different face from the booster box, and I'm going to explain who she is. Let's see here. Takes a while.
Hi.
Hi. We're so excited because we hardly see each other anymore.
I know. No, I joined earlier, but it wasn't allowing me. Like, I don't know what happened, but I had to like get
Oh,
out.
I didn't notice. Like, I have to let you in, and if you asked for it, I didn't notice because I was too busy talking. So we're gonna try to get to people's questions together. And they're always seeing me talk, and they see my face, and I know that you've been in pictures and on my Instagram, and you also have your own Instagram, which I've tagged you in. And it's Steph.theboosterbox, right?
Yes, Steph.thebooster. Me and Cass have the same kind of
I
account.
had to pause for a second. So STEPH dot period the booster box. So you guys can follow her. You can also follow Cassidy. I don't know if she's watching or if she want to join in after she can. And so some of you have worked with Stephanie before. We at the booster box, when we do a wedding, you will meet with me. Sometimes you'll meet with Stephanie. Stephanie is usually at the last meeting that we have before your wedding so that you can see who she is. Because I would never just drop someone on you in your wedding unless there was some kind of emergency. Knock on wood, it hasn't happened. But I always like, especially if I can't be there on your wedding day, because we do have a team, you'll always meet whoever is going to be at your wedding day beforehand. So whether it's me or Stephanie or Cassidy, you won't be surprised the day of like, who is this person?
Honestly, it's a comfort for both of us. It's comfort for me to like get to know you, and also, who's randomly yelling at me on the day of. So it's
we don't yell. Stop it.
Sorry. Who's randomly talking to me? Really
Who's guiding the crowd so nicely? I'm kidding. You know what? Sometimes you just need to raise your voice a little higher. That's how it is, right?
It still keeps this tone just a little higher. That's all.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has questions for Stephanie, but I just thought it'd be interesting for people to get a different opinion. Also just to see what it is you do at the Booster Box and how you went to college for event planning, correct?
I did. I went to Humber for event planning and tourism and hospitality, and I really liked the event planning program. I happened to have known someone that Rose and Giuseppe is related to, and she kind of got me an in. But I definitely did like charities and different events. So it was definitely something, like I tried it all out, but I always wanted to do wedding planning. Apparently my grade 8 yearbook I wrote, I wanted to be a wedding planner. So that's really good.
You want to know what's funny? I never thought about being a wedding planner.
No.
Like ever until like, for those of you that don't know, I also make wedding invitations, and I've been doing that for over 15 years now. And it was like about, I don't even remember how long I've been wedding planning for, 7, 8 years. Yeah. It always starts off like you do this event, you help this person, you do a little bit at a time, and then, hey, I like this, and I think I'm good at it, and I think I can do it. Not everybody has, WPIC certificate, and it's not necessary either. It's not like you're going to get arrested or anything from doing an event without having this certificate. But you can go to college and take courses. And the funny thing that what I found funny, well, I don't know if you call it funny, but you can learn things in books, but you really don't know what it's like to run around on a wedding day
Oh,
unless you've done it, right? And you still don't know. I'm still learning every time something new happens. I'm like, okay, next time I'm going to do that differently. Didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. Nothing disastrous, but like, would you say that you can go to college and then just become a planner?
oh, absolutely not. And like, I think even working with you set me up because I worked with you, I think, year one of me going to college. And then by the end of the last year in college for events, they make you do like a bunch of marketing events and a bunch of charity events. And definitely are kind of thrown in there if you don't know how to experience it from before. So that was definitely something that I was able to go into it and be like, yeah, no, like this is not stress. What is this? Like, this is nothing in comparison to like, because our days are crazy, right? Like they're on a schedule, but ultimately everything's thrown at you at different hours of the day. And I had great people on my team, but a lot of us were like, okay, so what do we do in this situation? All right, we're going to change it to this situation now. So it's definitely, I just see a question that says, it takes a special skill to be a planner. Yes, I have a lot of friends and people that I know that are like, I would love to do what you do. And I'm like, it's great, but you have to have like patience and you have to always hit this level of this is where you keep it. Like, no matter how much you want, like, no matter how much
No
the
matter
day,
how much you're sweating.
yeah, and like sweating, like no one should know and no one will really know because ultimately you know how to get up on your feet and be like, okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's change it to this. All right, this is fine. And like it's kind of bad to say, but like Ro knows this, like we almost have constantly the worst case scenario in our head constantly playing. So when the worst case scenario happens, we're like, I was ready for this. I had this plan, like I had plan A to Z all backed up here. Like it's always
Yeah.
there.
What would
It's
we do without our emergency kits?
yeah. Like
What's
isn't
our
it
best? Let me ask you a question. What's our best friend?
oh duct tape. Absolutely. People think I'm like, no, duct tape. I still use it in my daily life. And there's like
How many things? Okay, how many things have we used duct tape for? I know I've done boutonnieres with duct tape. I've
uh
done wrist corsages. I've had to fix them. I've used duct tape, and it's not like there's not other things that you can use, but it's
oh,
just the fastest, most effective
we've
until
done
some. Yeah, yeah.
we've down tables, not tables, but like we've like tucked in like parts that we didn't need. We've tucked in parts of like a whole backdrop.
Tablecloths. Yeah.
We
Backup. Yeah.
you taped up a whole podium once. Nobody was
Yes.
like remember tucked it in all duct
We're
tape
like, this is behind. No one's gonna see that.
and
How about the time that I duct taped the father's pants because he forgot to get them hemmed in the morning of the wedding?
oh
Um,
for sure.
yeah, we've had to duct tape that. Uh, I'm sure there's other things I just can't think of right now. But I've had to duct tape state like carpet to stages.
Oh
Remember when we tried to duct tape that aisle runner outside for my cousin's wedding? Were you with me? And it just like did not. What that was the worst aisle runner ever purchased.
oh my God, I remember that. It wasn't even raining. It was like clear as day, and we had to put down
No,
a
it was hot, really hot. 'Cause I remember I was sweating.
yeah, it was like a June wedding, I think. But again, you never know weddings anytime it is. How many wedding dress bustles have you guys done up? Oh, so many to count. And I think
Oh,
it's
every wedding,
yeah.
every wedding, and
And
sometimes mothers and sometimes bridesmaids
oh yeah,
have
absolutely.
bustle.
And like I think too, especially like a little tip for anybody that wants to know about bustle, like wedding dresses, only have a minimum of two people. Don't let anybody else get involved because that's something that we've learned that it's usually either one of us with someone else that like knows how to do it specifically if it's something that the bride has warned us that this person knows how to do, or it's just us two. Like
Well,
and
the
if
thing
we're
is, because they're all different. I mean, there's different types of bustles, but also some of them have an elastic that go over a button, and some of them have an elastic that go on a hook, and some of them are underneath, and they have numbers that match up that tie. Those ones are good because you can usually find them when they're underneath. It's when they're stuck in the lace. It's so hard to find. And
and
sometimes the brides don't remember if you have three bustles or five. That's the first question. What
and
I do highly suggest is when you go to your fitting and they're showing you how to bustle, get someone to videotape it because
yeah,
you never know. You know, especially if you don't have a planner to help you out with that, that's used to doing dresses. You have it on video. It's
and know
kind
how
of
many
where
bustles
they are.
and buttons, because I find buttons, like, they stress me out too. Like, usually I would love it. Like, you know how many times we've had to bustle everything into one button and it's just hanging on by a thread, and we're like, okay, safety pins, where are you at? Like, yeah, you have to
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. Well, if it's not working the way it's supposed to work, we just got to figure out what works. And half the time when we bustle the dress, by that time the bride's just like, I don't care, do whatever you want. Like she just wants to go dance.
Oh,
But usually we bustle the dress. I find we usually bustle it after like when they're about to do the pairing dances. Usually they want to walk in and they want to do their first dance with
mhm.
their train down so everybody sees it because not everybody saw it at church or wherever they had their ceremony. And then we usually bustle it, during the pasta.
I try
While going to
to.
the pasta.
I kicked out, like, I remember one time I was in a washroom with a bride, and I had to kick out every single woman in there because they were all just trying to get in my way while I was bustling a dress, and I was like, all out, let's go, like, I'll do this myself. I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is you're doing something and then you got like all the nunnies and they're like, no, 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 it's here. And then all the aunts are like, no, no, it's here. And I'm like, I can't even see at this point. Like, everybody just get out of my face. I need to look at it by myself.
Yeah. You
Had
know
to.
what? Oh, Daniela was with you. Yeah. I finally took off my nails, which I haven't done in probably since you've known me. How long have I had these nails on? At least 3 years, and you've known me for longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
I finally took them off. But how many times, like you were saying, buttoning up dresses with the elastic? The
Mm-hmm.
best thing if you're a wedding planner, like even if you can't do things with nails, like have longer pinky nails because I just go through it so fast.
Oh,
But
yeah.
just a trick, if you don't have the nail, then use
Bob.
bobby pin. Bobby pin? Yeah, hairpin. That helps you really fast. Daniela knows. Weddings by Daniela is watching, and she works at Mona Ricci, so she does a lot of bustling and buttoning up of dresses. It was the wedding with the distillery. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. That was a fun one. Daniela was like, okay, everybody out of the room, let's go. I'm doing it. Yeah, thank God. That's one thing. And
Yeah.
I think why too that a lot of times I was going to think about it because I just thought of Danella. That's a lot of times when we have two of us too is because there's things that, for example, Ro constantly will do that I won't do. And so we'll take turns, or one of us is better almost than the other. Like, we both agree that we don't sew, but that
We got the sewing kit.
we have the sewing kit, but we just won't sew. But there's things that, like, I'll call in Ro quicker than I'll do it myself. Like, you're quicker at the buttons. I can do them, absolutely, but you're quicker
Yeah,
at, and
yeah,
like, there's just things like it's nice to have two, because then where something I might, where you don't know something I might know something, or you I we deal with kids differently. Like, it's all that fun stuff, and that's why too. A lot of times when I love it when people call and say, oh, they want you, but I'm like, honestly, like, Cass is great, I'm great, even Giuseppe's great. Like, the amount of times you've had girls work for you, and it's so much fun. You
yeah. So we will do so for people who don't know. We have a team, and Cass and Steph are team leaders, and we'll do 2 to 3 weddings in a day. And again, I do all the work beforehand with brides, which Steph or Cassidy can do as well, but I like to deal with them personally, so I know them as well. And then you'll meet your team a week before, and then even if I'm not there on the day of, I am always like FaceTiming you at some point so
Oh,
I can say hi because I actually like I'm sad that I can't be at all the weddings at once because I help these people prepare and then I want to see them on their wedding day. It's like sad if I can't be there. So I just want even that 2 minutes of like, hi, how was your day? And then it's the best thing. So
uh,
what do you okay, let me see some questions here. And then I'll ask you, let's see. Oops, I'm typing in numbers here. What's going on?
Oh, I see one that says, do you think it's helpful to have
Yeah.
one wedding planner at the groom's house and one at the bride's home? Um, so it depends on how your photographers, of course, will tell you how your day goes. Like, they either will get split up, your photographers and videographers, or they'll stay together. If they stay together, we stay together, and we usually end up going to both, right? Yeah.
Well, the typical, I'm going to say typical day, we like to travel together because one of us will stay on the bride or the groom, and the other person usually stays on the bridal party.
Yeah.
and parents or children, you know, because there's crowd control and people come to the house and someone needs to tell mom to hurry up. Now, I've done weddings like by myself the whole day too. And it's just a little bit easier for us if we're together. Now, to answer your question, typically um, the photographer, videographer will go to the groom's house and we will be there as well. And then we'll all travel to the bride's house. So we don't separate, but I do suggest like being at both houses at some point. If we cannot split up and the photographer, videographer are splitting up, we will go to the groom's house earlier. We'll just check in, make sure everything's cool, make sure, you know, he knows how to put his pants on straight. No, we don't have to put the pants on. I'm kidding. You know, make sure the guys are not getting too drunk, make sure they have their boutonnieres on, whatever help needs to be done, and then we'll leave them there and then we'll check in. So if we go to the bride's house, we'll check in with the one of the ushers, the best man, and say, hey, is the bus there yet? Are you guys leaving? Hey, how's the groom? So if we're not there physically, we're there, we're always there with you, spiritually, if that's how you want to say it.
One thing I
Um,
is I hang out with all guys. So as soon as someone asks me, should someone go to a guy's house? I'm like, absolutely. Like that's my 100% recommendation. If you can have your planner or whatever, your coordinator for the day of, go to your groom's house, do it. Because I love my guy friends, but there's things that I'm like, just I don't trust you completely to be 100% ready. And it's not even that, you know what, they might be ready, but it's just the little things that you might have reminded them of. But sometimes they forget. Like we go to the girls' houses and it's chaos. I can just imagine it probably is exactly like guys, right? It is.
it's not just like, it's not just the getting ready part. Like we
Oh
do
no.
have to understand it's not always about the bride. The groom is nervous too. The
Mm-hmm.
groom is sometimes fumbling and like needs someone to say, hey, do you need a shot of something? Do you need like you're going to be good, right? You know, and because part of what we do is we don't just, I know I say this all the time, we don't just plan and this is what's going to happen at 8 a.m. This is going to happen at 9 a.m. and this is the time the ceremony is and this is what color your flowers are going to be. Like going back to what they said before, it takes a special person to be able to kind of also be a counselor. And for us, I feel like by the end of the day, we become like family to these people. So, you know, you have to notice things like the groom looks sad, the groom looks mad, the groom looks like he has to pee. I don't know. You know, we have to catch on to these things.
Oh,
And we want them to feel comfortable enough to tell us. And many times we'll have bridal party members tell us, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, don't tell anybody. Or, you know, they'll tell us my mother this and that, like, you know, like little things that they probably wouldn't even tell their family. And they have to feel comfortable with us to tell us
yeah.
these things.
Or maybe the groom doesn't tell us, but the best man will tell us, like, hey, just so you know, this is how the groom is if this happens, or this is how
Yeah,
the bridal
yeah,
party acts. This is how the
yeah.
guys, maybe don't let them do this. And it's good to know, right? And ultimately, you know, we're there to make you, exactly what you said, like, we're there to make sure that you feel comfortable all day. And in order to make sure that you feel comfortable all day, we want to go to the guy's house so that,
And we're not the type, like if you follow us, if you've been following us, we're not the type, I don't want to make anybody else sound bad, but we're not the stiff type. So if you follow our stories, we're in the car, we sing, we dance on the way, we pick up our McDonald's and make fun of ourselves. Like this is what we do all day and and that's how we are all day. We
yeah.
don't show up at the venue and we're stiff and we're just telling everybody what to do. We want to be friends with the people we work with because that's when things come out better. You know, if everybody's in a good mood and also the bridal party, you want everybody to have fun. It's not just about this is your job today. You know what? When you have a job, yes, you have a job, do it. You know, and there's a time to party and there's a time not to party, right?
Yeah, no, I want to
Someone
miss,
was asking, sorry?
I said, I want to miss you guys when I go home. Follow you guys all on Instagram. That's how it
Yeah.
works.
Um, Someone was asking, do you get to pick who you get? You can try to request who you'd like. If you're talking about my company and you're talking about wanting me, up until now, what we've been doing is first come, first serve. You know, if the person's available, that's who you get. Um, if you're doing a full wedding planning package, I'm planning the whole wedding from the beginning, then chances are you're going to get me before the person who's doing it just a day of. Now, when I say get me, again, it's not like a person who has a day of package is not going to see from me or talk to me or hear from me at all. I'm with them the whole time. I'm the one emailing. I'm the one who answers my own messages on Instagram. You know, I don't get Stephanie to email people, and if she does, she's going to say, "This is from Stephanie." You're talking to me. You're talking to me.
Mhm.
But by the end of dealing with me, hopefully I make you feel comfortable enough to know that the person I'm giving you, and I say this all the time, Stephanie, Cassidy, whoever else it is, I would never give you someone that's going to make me look bad. Hopefully, people have bad days, yes, but I trust them. They've come so many weddings with me. Um, you know, they're supposed to be like a replica of me. Now we have different personalities, but hopefully that answers your question. So if you have a full planning package, you're more likely to get me. Otherwise, if it's, 2 or 3 weddings on a day and it's all coordinating, it's first come, first serve. That's
Well,
how it's been going for now.
a lot of times too, like even if you plan 2 weddings on the same day, if you know that I'm gonna be in one, like I've
Yeah.
had it several times because I do have meetings with you. I mean, like I come to your meetings and everything, and so I know too that if you do have another wedding that you're planning from the beginning on the same day, and they have me, a lot of the times they'll meet you ahead of time so that I'm there. I'm not answering all your questions like Ro is, but I know all the information from the get-go, and you give us all the
Mhm.
information if it's a bride that you've been planning for a month that we're also involved in. So we know, like I know, me and
Yeah.
Ro have conversations all the time. I know all.
And it's not just because of that, because knock on wood, it's never happened. But what happens if I wake up in the morning of your wedding and I really cannot move?
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sick. Someone else needs to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's why we like to be prepared in twos for sure.
And
But that's, also why everyone is equally educated on what's going on.
And it's not even like we're educated. Also, too, like not for anything, but me and Cass like what we do. So a lot of times too, when I do your wedding, one, I automatically ask how many people in your bridal party because I love a big bridal party. That's me. But I want to know all about like what kind of wedding am I expecting? What kind of, how is the day gonna go? Like I want to know personally too, without it even just, I mean, it being my job, but not that you have to dictate and make sure that I know. It's me, Kathy, we want
Yeah.
to know about all the
Yeah. Well,
information.
you don't want to look like an idiot either, right? Like
Yeah,
you
of
want
course.
to and you're genuinely interested. And also, we go to the rehearsal purposely because we want not only that we want to get to know your family and who's going to be part of your big day. We come to the dinner usually for the rehearsal if we're invited, because we want to get to know your family, yes, but also we want them to be comfortable with us. We don't want to just show up in the morning at your mother-in-law's house and she's like, "Who's this lady coming in?" So that's why another reason why we like to come to the rehearsals because we want to make sure everyone's comfortable with us. There's a few comments here. I find the guy's house more organized. Daniela said, this is true. Um, excuse me. The thing about the guy's house as opposed to the girl's house is that when we go to the guy's house earlier, at that point, there's not usually family members there
Mm-hmm.
yet. The family members tend to come after. So when we're at the guy's house, it's usually photographer, videographer, us, and the parents. It's a little more chill, and the bridal party, it's a little more relaxed. Um, and when we get to the bride's house a little bit later and closer to the ceremony, most families, they like to come to the bride's house and have something to eat before the church, depending on the timeline or whatever. So that's why it seems a little more chaotic because you have all these family members running around too, and you got to stop the aunt from kind of trying to come into the room and trying to take pictures. And,
Absolutely.
we don't let anybody in the room for the bride when she's getting ready and taking her photos. We slowly let the parents in. We do a reveal to the bridal party. It's too much chaos to have so many people in your room.
Oh,
Let's see, how much time to allot for after church greetings? Please tell me not long. Okay, so after church, this is the conversation I have with my brides and grooms. My conversation with them is this. A lot of them will say to me, what do they say? What will they say? I just
oh,
wanna,
I just want to get straight onto the bus and I just want to go for my pictures. Don't let me talk to anybody at all. Do not let
yeah,
me talk.
yeah. So, and my response to them is, you may say that now, but on the day of your wedding, if you're really happy that you just got married, hopefully, you're gonna be on cloud nine, walking out of there, and you're gonna want to, like, how are you gonna say no to your grandmother when she comes to you for a hug? Or your mom or whatever. What I do suggest is we don't do a lineup because once you start, it's hard to cut a line. I always suggest just doing like a little mingle thing. Get the important people, the ones you see that you know are just coming to church. And then we will be the ones who come in and cut you off. And we usually say 15, 20 minutes. We'll let you greet people and then we'll just start, okay, we have to go on the bus. And we'll just look like the bad guy if we have to look like the bad guy for you. But very rarely does it happen that they just go and go straight onto the bus. It's happened a few times, and really, it's usually the later ceremonies, like the
That
2,
no,
3 o'clock ceremonies where we're like, you guys gotta go. But most of the time you'll want to hang around for a little bit. So if you just let us know, listen, cut me off after 10 minutes and we're going on the bus, and that's what we're gonna do. You know, because keep in mind too, you're not just gonna jump on the bus. Your bridesmaids might want to use the bathroom before they leave. Like, you know, they might have a baby that they have to deal with or whatever. Like, there's so many things that happen within a bridal party that's hard to just leave from the church and go on.
your
And sometimes you want to have a group photo, which I find actually helps you from not having a lineup, because we rush people out for this group photo and we take a photo and then you're already in a group and not in a line. So we can kind of like let you say hi to whoever you want and then get you out of there.
you're
Sorry,
essentially allocated. No, I was gonna say you're essentially always allocated. Even if you said no, you said yes. We know your time, and we automatically allocate like 15 minutes, and that's not including if you do a picture. So like if we know you were gonna do a picture because we've pre-planned that ahead of time, that's also within your schedule, and like we've constantly like kept updates, so we know, your photographers know, they know how much time. Like, it's not going to be something that you're going to have to squeeze in later on the day of. Like, we've already planned the 15 minutes into your situation, so we're good. Because someone was
Yeah, and
asking.
again, things, you know, there's a schedule, there's a plan, but we can't. If it's raining, you're going right on the bus. We're not going to stand outside and kiss people. Like, you know, it'll change depending on how things go. Christina is writing. Hi, Christina. She's writing. I can tell you firsthand, these ladies don't sit down. I have to do a side note. Christina, if you follow Tino L Productions, was their videographer, and he's doing this amazing. I think it's 4-part series, and I've posted a few of them, and they're in it, and it's so cute that he interviews couples that are married, and he's done their weddings and they're in COVID together. And I just love it. You guys did a great job. Miss watching your Instagram stories of you guys hosting weddings, right? I miss it so much. Okay, listen, this is what you guys have to do. You have to pitch to somebody you know that we need our own behind the scenes reality TV show. Let's pitch it, guys, and put it out there in the world, because it's the most fun. And when we do stories, we can't even put on everything on there that we want to say
The
and show
problem, yeah,
you.
the problem is this.
Yeah, like,
A lot of times you get in the moment, and unfortunately, there's so much story to what has currently happened that I don't even have time in the day to stop it and be like, okay, guys, this is what actually happened in this moment. Ro always posts at like 11 p.m. because that's the only time that she's actually sat at that point. It's because desserts come.
Now the sitting down is like,
and everything
sitting down
kind of
is like,
not cool. Everybody's
yeah, sitting down is like 10 o'clock, because Christina said, like, we hardly ever sit down. The time we actually get to stop is usually like 9:30, 10, from like sometimes 7 in the morning. And yeah, you'll see us posting from like 10 to 11, because then there's sweet table, right? And then we have to get up again. Should you allocate 15 minutes to greet guests after the ceremony, or does it all depend on timing for pictures? I would see what time your photos are. Don't forget, you can't do more than 15, 20 minutes, because most of the time there's another ceremony that has to happen. The way it works with us is we have our grooms at the church an hour before. If our groom's at the church an hour before and they've left their house and then their family starts coming, then the groom's family's there half an hour maybe before the ceremony starts. So if you guys are hanging around still a half an hour after a ceremony, and your church leaves an hour in between each ceremony, then the new guests are going to start coming. You guys need to get out of there. They need the parking spots. We've had times when, you know, the new bridal party bus is coming in, our bus is still there, and they're honking like, can you guys get out of here? Like, the next wedding has to come in. So you really are not even allowed to like hang around that much at a church. Most of the time there's 2 or 3 weddings in a weekend. I mean, in a Saturday. So yes, 20 minutes is enough. Sorry?
I was gonna say, it also depends on your priest. Some priests like don't kick you out, but they kick you out. Like, go.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of concept.
I'm now. Oops, hold on. I gotta go back to that. I missed that. Where'd it go? I am now thinking about the problems of my life, but it was you who occupied my mind, and you made me forget to think about my problems. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. How many photo locations is too much? More than one is too much. Who is that? I gotta go back down. Why is my thing scrolling up on its own?
CK Wedding 2021.
Yes, this is one of our brides.
Yes.
And yeah, why would you want to go? Okay, if the second location okay, if you're getting married at a golf course and that's considered your second location, I get it. But honestly, you don't need more than an hour and a half the most for your photos. It's not like it used to be. It's not. It used to be that you would take pictures with each couple in the bridal party. Okay, cheese. Even if you're not even with that person, it's not your boyfriend. Take a picture of each couple, and then each person takes a picture with the bride, and each person takes a picture with the group. They don't do that anymore. It's not like that. So you don't need that much time. And I wouldn't waste your day traveling around. Don't hate me. No, we don't hate you. We love you.
If your photo location's like here and then 5 minutes in here, also remember too, it depends on where you're doing. Depends on, you know, is your location one close to location two? Because then the whole time you're spending more time in that limo traveling from location to location, right?
Yeah, and keep
Like,
in mind, like there's some places the bus can't park. So you have to allocate like 10, 15, 20 minutes with girls in heels to walk back to the bus. Like, you know, your bridal party is going to kill you too. After the wedding, the next day, what is customary? Do you have to host a small gathering with close friends and family? And do halls still give leftovers to take home? Okay, not every hall gives leftovers. I find not all of them give leftovers. Your cake, for sure, the leftover you bring home. Usually sweet table stuff you're bringing home. Food from the evening, the staff eats the food that they cook extra for the staff. It's not the food you paid for. They do cook extra for the staff. So typically a lot of halls don't give food, but you know what? Have that conversation with them beforehand instead of assuming it and then after being like, where's my food? Because a lot of times they throw it out. Like not everybody wants to take home all this stuff. But some venues do. Right now, I can't remember which ones will and which ones don't.
I think you have to sign paperwork, especially if you bring like seafood home.
Yeah.
But a lot of them can let you bring seafood home anywhere.
Yeah, I do know like the late night Portuguese stations, especially if you brought the Portuguese stuff from outside, they'll let you take it home.
Yeah,
like the pockets and yeah.
Like my family does the next day party. Like the Portuguese side, they'll do the next day party, but that's because we bring all the seafood home, and then once we're home,
yeah,
eat it all the next day. You invite a bunch of people over, so but the problem is you can't even get seafood because people get sick off of the food, and then a hall is liable because you don't know how to package your food properly when you get home, right? Like it's not your fault.
Yeah. So do you have to host a small gathering? No, I would say you don't have to. Most people are tired and don't want all this stuff happening the next day. But a lot of times you have leftover from what was at your house during the day and the day before, and your mom doesn't want to cook again. They want to see you before you go on your honeymoon. And also, let's face it, it's boost accounting time. So that's why you get together. I know when I got married, if we had the Italians there, so we were going to leave on our honeymoon the Monday, so we wanted to see the Italians before we left. So they came over, but we also went through all the boostas, the gifts and stuff. And that was something we did because we had to pay the hall the next day. So you probably will want to get together with at least your siblings and your parents. And you probably will have enough food left over. So it's not a must. Like you don't have to. It's not like, oh, you're rude because you're not hosting people the next day.
Yeah.
Now, if you're having a wedding and a lot of your guests are sleeping over for you at a hotel, like downtown, like we did that at One King West. It was nice that they hosted a breakfast for their guests the next morning. It was nice. Is it necessary? Is it expected? I don't think so. To answer your question.
A lot of Portuguese though, like I know, and we've done weddings where they've done this too. I find a lot more Portuguese have like the next day kind of like a little bit of get together, but a lot of times it's because we bring the seafood home. So when we go, then it's typical, right? Because then you invite like some family members or something, and then you eat the seafood the next day. So like it's just a pet. Like I know it's there.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I want to do one location with just immediate family and then some of us.
I don't bringing your family to a location. I usually recommend, well, I don't know. I usually say like go to the hall and have them there.
Listen, if your family is willing, if your family is willing to drive to a park, that's not out of their way. And when we say like, and take photos and they take up half an hour, and then they don't have to like impede on your time afterwards when we're at the hall and the antipasto bar set up and then you want to take pictures in front of the head table and all these guests start coming. Like it's a little bit chaotic. If you want to do that, that's fine. You just have to make sure that we put it into your schedule. and that they have their own transportation, that they go to the park with their own cars, and that they leave with their own cars, which most of them will want to do because they might have a second hair appointment or they want to go home and change. Because most of the time, moms are not bringing their dresses onto the bus. It depends on how far they're going from their house. Um, I think it's great if they come, they have their own car, and they take home the little flower girls and ring boys with them, and they all leave from the park.
But
It's happened a few times. Typically, they don't go.
yeah,
And they also don't go because if there's a luncheon, the
yeah.
parents will go to host a luncheon, so they really don't have the time to come to your location to take pictures.
Or if you do it that it's the first location right after you do
Yeah.
your church. Because if you have that period of lull in between where you're taking your photos and now you're dependent on waiting for these people, then you still have to get to your hall, and that becomes the more confusion. I would do it that you almost all leave together. You all go take the picture at the location, and then they go on their separate ways, and you go continue your photos. And because when you're that's a problem, and not problem because it can happen completely, but when you're waiting on a bunch of people too, it depends on how big your family is. Because if you have to wait for like 20 people to show up at this location to take pictures, that's the only thing with it.
That's why when we do
first location and then you still have a location.
Yeah, that's why when we do it at the venue, we always tell them to come. Like if we want them there at 4:30, we tell them 4 o'clock. Because we know that they don't. This is like if you want all your aunts and uncles in pictures, and that's a whole other conversation as well. Someone asked, can we still request family pictures? If you mean requesting family pictures from your photographer, sure. People are still doing this as long as the bride and groom tell the photographers that this is what we want to do, and the wedding planner and the venue knows that we're coming a little bit earlier. We're doing photos, and we schedule it all in. Great. Yes, you could do family photos. Okay, I think she's saying the locations are 20 minutes apart. You are gonna kill me. No. If you're just losing time, depends what time your ceremony is. First of all, if you're having an early ceremony, it might work out for you. It also depends on where these places are. If you're gonna go to Mississauga and then drive to Scarborough and then your hall's in Woodbridge, like I don't see why you have to do that. It's gonna be crazy for everybody. If it's something like, you're at the church and you want to go to the park across the street and spend half an hour there, and then you want to drive 20 minutes to somewhere else that's on the way to going to your hall and it works, then it works. 2 locations, that's fine. But again, don't forget when you say we're going to leave at this time, we're going to come at this time, there's something called loading and unloading. And when you have a bridal party of 20 people, it takes a good 10-15 minutes. And this one's got to pee, and that one's got to have a smoke, and this one's got to, trust me, it's not, yeah. You have to account for those moments that you don't, your friend needs a cigarette or he's going to die.
Yeah, we've accounted for those. We've accounted for
do you recommend family pictures at the same spot as the bridal party pictures, or do you recommend okay, so we just talked about that, right?
If you were going to do it, I would do it all in almost one location, or exactly what you said, and do it at one park, and then like a park across the street, and then not a park, like a park like 5 minutes away, and then go to your second location. Because that's the thing too, exactly what you said. Remember too, a lot of these people that are leaving the church are now greeting other people. Like it's not only you that's greeting all these family members, your mom's greeting these family members, your dad.
Yeah, they're usually there longer. The parents are there long.
Yeah, like I've had moments where I know that a mother has to go to an appointment after she's gotten out of church, and like I would have to tell her, okay, you still have to leave in like 5 minutes, just to let you know. And she's talking to this person because she's excited, and that person, and then you are now at the place, like at the location, your first location. It's possible, but it's like you're at your first location waiting for these people, and when you still know you have to go to a second location. While if you were in your one designated location, you can be taking your photos, and then once your family comes, you stop your photos, take your family photos, and go back to your photos. So it just depends on how your family is. Like I know my dad Rose gonna have to find the whole night of my wedding because
keep a leash on.
Right? Like it just depends on your family members. Some family members.
And the other thing too about bringing your family to photos is and the same with the bridal party. Like usually they try to get the photos of the bridal party, get them over and done with within like 20 minutes, and then put them on the bus and they can chill. But because you want the real moments with your husband to walk around and take photos. instead of having 500 people staring at you when you want to go, I don't know, under the tree and the photographer's like lean in for a kiss, you have all these people staring at you. That's not natural if you're not comfortable in that type of situation. You want to have your moment with your, like the picture I posted today. You want to have your moment with your partner without having all these people there and it's chaos and little kids running around. We personally always recommend, and if you have a beautiful church, why not recommend doing some photos with your parents or your especially the flower girls and ring boys if they're young. You take a photo at the church before they leave, before they have to go take their nap. Please make sure they go take their nap and get it done. The other thing is too, if you take photos with your parents right after church, they're most likely going to still be wearing the clothes that they were wearing in the morning, and then they have a nighttime gown that they're going to change into that they're going to want photos again with their new outfit. So, you know, they might not even want that. They might not. They might want photos, family photos in their nighttime dress. Steph is freezing on me. I don't know if she's still there, but I'm going to keep going. Hopefully you guys can see me. So much patience is needed. Alcohol's needed. Oh, I think I lost Steph. She left. Are you guys still there? Give me a thumbs up if you can still see and hear me. Because she was freezing. Oh, let's see. I think she's coming back. Yeah, and we'll try to get Stephanie back. And then we will ask Stephanie more about her experiences, since you're always hearing what I gotta say. But see, you can tell. Hi, Steph. Can you hear me?
Hi.
You're freezing a little bit.
Sorry, my phone. My thing.
That's okay. But I'm glad that
all these people know what happened.
I'm asking if they can hear me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm glad you came on so that people can see that you can answer questions just as well as I can, and you know what's going on. You're not just someone I throw to people like, hey, Steph could do your wedding. You know, I bring you, you learn, we all learn, we do mistakes, we figure it out. We're prepared with our emergency kits, we're prepared with our schedule. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, Steph.
No. Yeah.
What?
I said we never say no. It's just we lay it out straight for you. We don't care. Like, we'll tell you just it's possible, but this is what you have to remember going into it.
The counselor comes in.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite part about doing wedding planning?
Oh, okay, that's a hard one.
Okay, you want me to ask you a different question? Okay, I'm gonna ask you a harder question.
Oh my gosh.
What do you like about what? Say what? Okay.
Okay, go.
What do you like about working with the Booster Box?
Definitely that, like, well, like it's been years, so like not years, but like it's been long enough with you and your husband. Like, I know how you both are. I know how, but I think for us, it's just a matter of usually what's on your brain is on my brain and vice versa. So I think it's a lot more of it's just a shared mutual understanding. And I like how, and I'm not saying this because I work for you, but I've always liked it, like how involved you are. And the way you go about things and the way that like nothing is completely impossible. And I think I like it because that's the way I am too. And I don't like it when like you go into it super serious either, because you know I know how I'm going to be as a bride, and essentially what it is I know how I'm going to be as a bride. So if I want you to coordinate my wedding, it's a thumbs up for me, guys, because it's just yeah. It's a thumbs up for me. No, it's just it's a very easy work environment. Like, I remember even when we get mad at each other, it's still hilarious. Like, guys,
Well, the funny part is like we're not. It looks like we're getting mad at each other, but we're not getting mad at each other. We're just having a louder conversation in the stress of the moment. So like we sometimes have to forget. We forget that other people probably think we're getting mad at each other when we're really not. We're just like, but did you do this? Yeah, I did this.
Guys, we were in the middle of a Burger King. It's my favorite story. So we were in the middle of a Burger King. We hadn't even gotten in yet.
Because this is not our fault.
No, I had called a photographer because we changed the location for pictures. So I called a photographer on Rosemary's phone. And then I called the bride on my phone for some reason. And then I kept calling the bride thinking it was the photographer. And me and her were yelling at each other saying, this is the number. I don't know what you're talking about. And we had a good 10 minutes of yelling at each other in the parking lot of Burger King. And then 2 minutes later, looked at each other, like full out hatred. And then 2 minutes later and be like, okay, so we're getting coffee after this too? Like, let's go.
That was just a crazy moment because there was a messed up situation with the address of that. The permit had one address and the location was a different. It was just a messed up situation.
But
And we did what we could.
One number was on your phone and one number was on my phone, and I said, no, this is the yeah. It was a mess. It was a mess. It was
Well, because we didn't have them programmed in our phone either. So it's not like the name was going to come up when you put it in, right?
No, exactly.
What is both your... That was going to be a question I was going to ask you. What is your favorite part of a wedding?
Oh, hands down, first dance. I have a few. So first dance, hands down, my favorite part. I don't know why. Could be whatever song. I think that is the most. I think it's because like me and my boyfriend, we've been dating for like 7 years. We still cannot figure out what our first dance song would be. So I think that's like the hardest but best part, because it's like that's the song that you guys both chose a good chunk of the time, and like that's your moment. Like I say all the time, like you spend a whole day where the days like this constantly. Like at the end of the day, like that went by in a blur, and a lot of people are like, it's the moment that I see him in church. And I'm like, no, like that's a great moment, but no, it's the moment of your first dance. Because for 2.5 minutes or whatever it is, you're just there, just you two on the dance floor. Majority of the time you're looking at each other going, did we just do this? Yeah, we did. And that's all the thoughts that keep running through my head, is that's exactly what they're thinking the whole day. I like that part. I love
so with that part, the reason why I like that part is because we talked about this before. That's the moment where we breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we finally got like everyone in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, even if the schedule changes right now, it's not a big deal because like, you know, you just work with the kitchen and the DJ, and at that point it's very much more relaxed, and the bride and groom are eating and they're happy and whatever. But that's the one point, like that's, if you see me and Steph high-fiving throughout the day, it's after the bride goes down the aisle and after they walk into the hall, we're like, we did it. Like if you see us behind the doors after we've opened the doors and the bride and groom, which we've videotaped a few times, but it's hard to do both. That's our moment. We're like, we did it, Steph.
Oh,
and we still do that. It doesn't matter how many weddings, we're always like, we did it, Steph.
I'm telling you, I need a camera crew to follow us around all day. That moment.
Well, honestly, that's in the works. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's been a conversation, and we were gonna start doing that this year, but this year is, I don't know.
Maybe
This year is, I don't even know what year we're in. Sorry, go on. What's your other one?
Okay, that moment. And I think for me, especially because a lot of the times you're at the front at this point, I think for me, one of my favorite moments is I'm one of the first people that sees the bride and groom when they're coming back down the aisle from the church. So I think because I see them and I'm like, okay, guys, like from here, we're going to go into this part. I think that's one of my favorite parts too. But definitely the walk-in into the first dance, because we're the last people that me and you are usually the last people that you see right before you introduce yourself to the world as husband and wife for like the first time. And then, so like we say goodbye to your bridal party, we say goodbye to you, and exactly what we said, like it's just that breath of like relief. And then we know that the next moment is like don't get me wrong, when you get married, you say I do's, yes, it's all real, but like the real moments, like when you walk in, it's like everybody's there and they're all waiting for you, and then you go into a first dance and it's like just you two. Oh, favorite part every time. Favorite part. How about you? What's your favorite part?
There's a question after the ceremony, between the photos. Should you have food for your bridal party? Yes. When you leave your house or the groom leaves his house, pack a cooler, pack the drinks, pack ice, pack the glasses, pack food, everything. And make sure there's extra for your photographers and videographers, because you should feed them, because they've been with you all morning. They don't have time to stop, and they're coming to the park with you. So yes, definitely going to answer that. What are my favorite parts to a wedding? I love when the father sees the bride in the morning.
Yeah, you do.
I love when the bridal party sees the bride. Sorry, I hate missing it. Yeah. Oh, that pisses me off.
No.
I just love being there in the room with her. Like I just have this privilege of being one of the few people who gets to be in their room with her when she's getting dressed, and like if she's tearing up and whatever. I love the moment, and I don't always get this moment, but sometimes depending on the timing, I love the moment where I get to go, visit the groom for the last time before he goes to the front of the altar and say, hey, buddy, you okay? Are we doing this? And like their face always like laughs and then relaxes. And, you know, I know that they're good. So I just love the moments where I know they're good. Like, you know, and yeah, the other thing that, sorry, you're freezing on me. I can't hear you.
Oh, and that's, but it's, oh, I was saying go be there. And so I love it because I usually kick out everybody else and I'm like, okay, girl, breathe. Like you're getting married today. Like take in all this. You're not going to be able to take it in until later. I think it's all those like take in moments. Like take it in, girl, you're getting married, or take it in, dude, like you're getting married. This is get in today, or did you just like kept thinking about
Yes.
all the other things you still
And back to that, that is, you know, I'm going to say this and I don't want to sound like I'm preaching for the planners. But I am going to do that for a second is, you know what, you can plan, you can write your own itinerary, you can design your own wedding. You could be a planner getting married, and even planners that get married get planners, even if it's someone that works for them or whatever. And the reason for that is, one, you cannot be on top of everything on your wedding. You don't want to be. It's too stressful. You can't be at the hall making sure everything arrives when you're supposed to be taking your pictures. And you need someone who's not your mom and not your sister and not going to drive you crazy and is not worrying about the way they look and all that stuff. You need that person there that you can fall back on, that you can cry with, that can stop and tell you, hey, fix this, or you look mad, change your face, or do you need a shoulder to cry on? And I feel like that's the biggest thing. And I tell everybody, when you hire us, you're not just getting someone who's working for you that day, you're getting a best friend for the day. And you can, you know what, if you hate me at any moment during the day, doesn't matter, because I know by the end of the night, like, you love us. And you know, the saddest part for me about weddings is the next day when, especially if I planned a whole wedding, when they're not calling me anymore and we're not talking every day. It's really sad. So on that note, you know, we have an announcement to make because we're doing our yearly contest, and I didn't want to post it. I did say we're having a contest, but for those of you who have been following us up until now, we do a yearly contest where you submit your photos and your story of your engagement. And I'm going to give you instructions and I'm going to post it. You're going to email me your story and some photos or video of your proposal. And we are going to have people vote. So you're going to have your friends tag and share and all that fun stuff. And whoever gets the most votes is the winner, the most tags. Because we're not going to be involved in choosing. We're not doing it on Facebook this year. If you were part of it last year, no Facebook. It's just going to be on Instagram. So I will post all about that after the show. And hopefully you've enjoyed the show. And thank you, Stephanie. I think she's freezing again. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining us. So now you guys know. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to text, email, message, whatever it is to get a hold of us. If you have any inquiries, you want to do a virtual consultation, feel free to contact us, and we will see you again. And you know what? Keep planning, keep planning. Even when you don't know what the date is, even if you've had to move stuff, enjoy the process, keep doing it. You have hired people to help you, and they are there to make sure that you have a great time planning and on your wedding day. Bye for now. It's Wedding Wednesday. Good night.